Hello again, friends. Hello. I think that as many patriots as possible need to start hitting home hard on Congress and on the House. That we demand that you end all funding to every research university in this country. If they care about stopping the tyranny and stopping the destruction of our Constitution and our way of life and our society, then you have to stop funding the universities where they do research and always transplants. And I say this for one reason, because if you wanted to destroy America, of course you can't do it with tanks. You can't just come in and do it. I mean, like legislative-wise. So how you would do it is you would use science. You would use crises. Environmental crisis in Ohio. You would use, virus, we got to lock down, we got to do this. Oh no, Ebola's back, measles is back. So then every time they said, these cure everything, they don't, because whenever they feel like it, they just pull it out of their hat that, it's back. Okay, so then you didn't solve anything. You have shown no success rate, and yet we have so much money going to these research facilities. So ask yourself, why isn't Congress or the House demanding that all funding stop to them, actually demanding that all of their activities stop, so that children involved in this research stuff are not used anymore, so nobody is used. Like, there needs to be a full freeze on the universities altogether. There does. I mean, if they want to do teaching, fine, but as far as their science and their research goes, it needs to stop. If Congress wants to show the American people and the House want to show the American people that they stand with us, then they need to demand and force the universities, for the overall safety of our Constitution, that they stop all research activities. Because there's no oversight. The oversight over them, would be HHS and all of it. Doesn't matter. They're all in it together. So you would slowly, to take over the Constitution and destroy it, is you would bring in public health. You'd bring in CDC, you'd bring in HHS, you would bring in every single layer under every single research hospital. They control all of the science, the publications, they control public health. They dictate everything. And what they want is research. They're obsessed and sick with research. So while everybody focuses on the small events, and not that it's a small, and I'm not trying to disregard Ohio, I'm not trying to disregard these, but the researchers, that's what they want you to think, is that it's about suddenly. They want you to see Ohio as an environmental globalist disaster. The problem here is that until the science is stopped, and they, in my opinion, they're the true threat. I think they're a threat even beyond the media, actually. I do, because of their sick research. And you can try to tell yourself, they can't, all the researchers can't be bad. Any of them that are involved in many of these big and Yale, come on, I haven't seen anything good come out of Yale. But they're all like this. They have just certain people that they want to be a certain way, and I think it's usually, along the lines of kind of psychopathic tendencies. I mean, to be doing a cancer study research until year 2100 is disturbing enough. Think of all the money they'll get. But do you remember in 2020 hearing about all the ventilators, most especially Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York, carried on before he was even at the peak of COVID? We need ventilators. We need ventilators. Trump better do something about ventilators. And Pritzker did this nonsense too, most of your blue states. But I just wonder, why did they want so many ventilators? Because there was an article on PubMed that came out in 2015 and said they're rather dangerous, and here's why. And the preface for this article says, quote, "Why sometimes I believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast," end quote, Lewis Carroll, in through the looking glass, and what Alice found there. Well, what Alice found is that there's many harms because of ventilators. So just a short part here. For many years, mechanical ventilation has been deemed as a safe procedure whose main goal was to maintain an adequate gas exchange and otherwise harmless to patients. However, the mechanical ventilator transfers energy to the lungs, which may stress the tissue and result in an inflammatory response and even damage. Accordingly, the medical literature has been witness of increased concern about lung damage induced by mechanical ventilation. This study was driven by studies in intensive care units, 2015. It goes on to say here, while some common procedures in mechanical ventilation have been confirmed as effective for lung protection in non-injured lungs, for example, the reduction of tidal volume, others, such as the positive end expiratory pressure, have been surprisingly challenged, at least in certain conditions. Beliefs are giving place to the sound evidence of randomized clinical trials and the physiological and pathophysiological foundations of ventilator-induced lung injury permanently rethought. So just ask yourself, first of all, the very fact that all these governors knew they were going to need all these ventilators says they seem to know more about this virus than we did. Well, the science certainly did. It's like they knew it was coming. So why would they want all these ventilators when COVID patients already have damaged lungs? So why would you put them on a ventilator at all? You'd go out of your way to avoid it. But if you're a bunch of non-ethical researchers at all these research hospitals where all this was going on, it would be a great way to study things and research and see. Because I've said before, to the science, the world is just its big petri dish. This is why, more than anything, this idea that Congress and the House have that will reform the FBI, no, it needs to be dismantled, along with every one of these science three-letter agencies. Now you may think, oh no, how will we function? Well, it's called growing up and being an adult. We had more freedoms before the science came along. We had a healthier society before they came along. They had an opportunity when antibiotics put them on the map to be an ethical system that wasn't trying to take away freedoms and cause a bunch of crisis, tyranny, and trauma on the public. But they chose to go the route of Satan. They did. It's just obvious. So, and all for money. So if the Congress in Babylon, if the House in Babylon want to show us, the American people, that they truly stand for this country and they want our freedoms protected, then the first thing they should be demanding without anything else is that no more funding go to any university in this country. Now, these research hospitals will still be able to do it because they have a lot of donors. But then also, I think that Congress and the House need to put a freeze on no research for a certain period of time. None. No institution can do any more research because it's gotten out of hand. It's taken freedoms from us. It's caused tyranny. The very fact that I have to walk around for 12 hours a day in a mask that's painful means that the very people that are asking me to do that are nothing but sickos, and I question whether they're even scientists at all, because it's always been about destroying America and the American people. So if Congress wants to, and the House want to protect the American people, then it's high time they start focusing on ending and putting a halt to any more research, because the research is hurting children, it's hurting our way of life, it's hurting our society, and it's being used to destroy America's values and Constitution. It's time for it to end.